All right. So, what is the hypotenuse? The longest side. Everybody says it's the longest side, which I'm perfectly okay with. But how do you know it's the longest side if you haven't actually measured? Do you know? Joel?
It's opposite to the right angle.
Excellent. It is across the way from the right angle. That is how you really know. Okay? So the hypotenuse is the side, and Joel used the word opposite. That word, please highlight it, underline it, put a star by it, and put an elementary school teacher cloud around it. Because that word is very, very important this unit. And a great many of you will have trouble with this unit if you do not understand what that word means. Joel, can you please explain in common English what you mean by the side opposite the right angle?
It's like across from it.
Thank you. That is the word I'm looking for. It is across from the right angle. If you are poor at seeing things graphically, then be aware that the right angle points to the hypotenuse. Does it matter how the triangle is drawn? No. Does this triangle have an hypotenuse?
Yes.
Yes. Does this triangle have an hypotenuse?
Yes.
No. Why? Because there is no right angle. Does this triangle have an hypotenuse?
Yes.
No. Does this triangle have an hypotenuse? Yes. Okay. Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
All right. The hypotenuse is also labeled as side C. The legs are the other two sides, and they are interchangeable. So they are labeled A and B. Everybody remembers Pythagoras. A squared, B squared, C squared, yes? Once again, I am going to caution you. Memorizing it that way can lead to trouble. And here is why. Do not draw this, just pay attention. A couple of years on the provincial exam, they did this. And said, find C. And every kid wrote A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 6 squared plus 13 squared equals C squared. 36 plus 169 equals C squared. And C squared equals 199,205. And C was 14 point blah. Guess what choice A was on the provincial? 14 point blah. Is that right?
No.
Of course not. Why? Because that is not C. Okay? I walked around my honors kids that year, and I looked how many of them circled the wrong one. And then I came up to my room, locked the door, pulled the shade, and cried just a little bit at how much of my soul was given to teaching them math and how much of my soul they spit on and crushed when they bothered to not learn Pythagoras. Because all they bothered to learn was a squared, b squared, c squared. Understand? I want to find every elementary and middle school teacher that teaches a squared, b squared, c squared, and I want to sit down with them and beg them to stop. I want them to teach it the way it should be, which is the square of the hypotenuse of a right-angle triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Then no matter how it's labeled, you will always do it right. Everybody cool? Don't memorize formulas. Learn concepts. Noah?
Would it be then C minus A?
This would have been, to do properly, of course, 13 squared minus 6 squared to get C, which would have been 169 minus 36 to get C, which, of course, would have been 139. 133 was C squared, and then you would square root it and get 11 point something. The other thing that bothers me about this is, of course, C is 14, and the kids write 14 right there. Isn't 14 longer than that? And they still write it. And I say to them, why? And they say, because my calculator said so. Right? Apparently, all of you are going to take your calculator to the prom because you love him or her. Because whatever he or she does, you do, no matter what you think. Much like when you have a girlfriend and you're a teenage boy. I know that I say this for a fact, Joel, because if you look back there at my pictures and you see that lovely, smiling, happy-go-lucky kid in the white shirt on the left, see that kid? That kid was 15 in grade 10 and loving life. In grade 12, you see that sour, pale-faced, zit-ridden, whiny pants clown? That one had a girlfriend. See the difference? Not that I don't love all of you, but that's the difference. Now, notice how happy the Thai guy is. He married her. That's why he's happy. I know, right? Every day's Valentine's Day, baby. Okay. I'm going to remind Catherine that she should watch my YouTube video tonight. She doesn't watch my videos. She thinks I sound mean to you guys. Because she hasn't watched them since I got this microphone. She only watched them when I had the microphone from the laptop, and I had to yell in that to make the microphone pick it up. So she was like, "That's how you talk to your kids?" Well, I'm not really sounding like that. It's for the microphone. And she's like, wow. But she teaches kindergarten, so she has to all be like, oh. With the big eyes. Apparently yesterday, one kid in her class got very kissy. I know, right? I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. Jinwan, stop kissing! But apparently, yes, a little boy in her class got very kissy. He was just grabbing girls and planting them on them. I know, right? 2 days before, they just had the violent, good touching, bad touching talk. And maybe that's what set him off. But how easy would it be, guys, if we could behave like kindergarten? Well, I like you. Like Bugs Bunny. Right? How easy would that be? Okay. Math time. How are you going to do A? A is a pain, right? Everybody said, well, I can't do it, Mr. Myers. There's no A, B, and C.
What?
Well, where do you see A, B, C? You see an X. I don't see a C.
I see a C.
That's that joke that they always do in math conferences. Like, the people that give math conferences still think this joke is funny. Some kid somewhere once, this question was on a test, and the question said, find X, and the kid circled it and wrote, there. Right? And every math conference I go to, you go to 3 sections a day, every presenter, do you guys know what happens when you don't ask your questions properly? You get this. And every math teacher, because teachers are nice to other teachers that are giving the presentation, we all politely laugh. We've never seen that before, moron. Like, we're paying you $200 for this. Can you write some new material? So anyway. There's x. What letter is x in our formula?
C.
C. So we just do normal, yeah? A squared, B squared, C squared. 8 squared plus 15 squared equals C squared. 64 plus 225 equals C squared. 289 equals C squared. And C equals 17. Everybody cool? Yeah? No problem, right? Okay. Now, next one, I don't have C. Now, there's a lot of ways you can remember how to do this. You can say, I don't have the hypotenuse, so I'm subtracting. You can write out the formula, x squared plus 8 squared equals 12 squared, and then move it around. I don't care how you do it. But you do it. Yes? Now, the next question is, always, well, what if it's not perfect, like 17? 2 decimal places, more than enough. Okay? So this one is, of course, 144 minus 64 is x squared. 144 minus 64 is 80. 80 equals x squared, so x equals the square root of 80, which is like 8.9. Everybody cool? Everybody good? Okay. Now, here's where you're going to forget to do things. On your tests, you're going to feel rushed, even though you're not. And you're going to forget to square root your answer. I have had kids in honors classes hand me in a test where this triangle was 10 km, this length was 10 km, this length was 12 km, and I said, how far is it across the lake? And they told me that across the lake was 244 kilometers. So this lake that's miraculously only 10K that way and 12K that way, if you decide to swim across it, it's 244. See what I'm saying? They forgot to square root at the end. All right? So again, before you do every question, even the easy ones, take a second and estimate an answer. Right? The answer to this question has to be somewhere slightly more than 12, doesn't it? So if you have anything that's crazy more than 12, it's wrong. Do not write it down. Okay? All right, so we're cool with that? All right, so that's grade 9, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9 type of Pythagoras, right? In grade 10, we expect you to put it together a little more. So, how are you going to do this? Can you do 35 and 20 as A and B the way that's drawn, Kobe?
No. 35 minus 20.
It's an equilateral triangle, so the other side would be 20 also.
This is an equilateral triangle?
No, because then 35 would be 35.
Then 35 wouldn't be 35, it'd be 20. So you're saying it's an isosceles triangle, where they're the same. Do you know that? No.
It doesn't say.
Where does it say? It's a yucky question, yeah? Can that question be done the way it's written? No. Right now, do you think? Take a moment and think about it. Talk to your neighbor if you need to. See if you can come up with a way to find x right now using only the math that you know. Take a moment. We got plenty of time.
I did 35 squared minus 20. Goes 47 squared minus 10 squared equals 26.9 squared. Oh, not squared.
Yeah, you
Even though we don't,
What?
we think we got a way to do it.
How would you guys do it? Hold up.
Well, in that, no, it's
Okay. You're assuming that's right? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be that right? But I like the way you're thinking. Okay? Whether it's right or not, that's not the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is to make you guys think of a way to do it. I like that. Kobe, what was yours? You're going to turn it into a rectangle? Cool. Harvey.
I turn it into a square, like cut it into that larger triangle in half, and then divide 35.
Yep. Just like what we did in the last unit. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. And then you would do Pythagoras with 17.5 here, yeah? Okay. All of that is good. Did anybody have something else? Mitchell, what do you got?
Put a line through the middle of the second triangle so that you could
Right here, this one.
right there.
Yeah. And then you can do Pythagoras here. Assuming you guys are making the assumption, oops, no, I don't want to use X, that these two would be cut right in half and be exactly the same, yes? Yeah? Okay. Excellent. That's fine. Anybody else got something else? Kobe and James said they would take this triangle and copy it exactly and then run it over here and see if it lined up perfectly. And if it lined up perfectly, then you would know that this was indeed an isosceles triangle, yes? That's cool too, right? Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Anybody got something else? You have something else? No?
We just do isn't that as one like cut off? We just
This one, the cut in half one.
No, we didn't cut. We just do
You just dotted the line and you
it's
Yeah.
to make the right.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Cool. I'm happy with that. Everybody thought of a way to go about solving this. All right? And all those ways, some are better than others. Some are right. Some are not as right. Like I say, this one, when you cut it in half, that assumes these are exactly the same size, yes? But if I drew it this way, and this side was slightly shorter than this side, then cutting it in half won't make them the same, will it? Okay? So there's all kinds of little trouble with that. The way to make this, make your guys' way work is if I do this. Now you can do that, right?
Yeah.
Cut it in half, no problem. Yeah? If that sign isn't there, then I really like James and Kobe's. Trace it and put it over here. If it lines up perfectly, you're in business. Okay? What else?
If you put make it isosceles or whatever you said,
Mhm.
then wouldn't it just be 20 on the other side and you wouldn't have to cut it in half?
Yeah, you wouldn't even need to cut it in half because now you have 10 and 20, right? Everybody cool? There's lots of options here.
Oh, and when you cut half, like this side angle and this side angle is same, right? So we can get this one and this one is same. So we can get this one and this one is same.
Yep. That's another way to do it. I think what Anastasia is saying is she cuts this down here, then that makes this X, right?
Yeah.
And then she's doing geometry to figure it out, right? Now in Canada, you guys haven't done a lot of this type of geometry yet. It comes in grade 11. Okay? You've done very little of this in grade 9. And in grade 9, there were circles involved, yeah? But it is possible to do with geometry. So good. Everybody has a way to do it. Okay, and again, that was my point for the... question box time. That was my point for this situation was we would do, I wanted you guys to think of how you would go about doing it, knowing what you already know. Now, by the end of this unit, you're going to know a whole bunch more ways to solve this. Okay? Everybody good? Right now, you really only have Pythagoras and some triangle knowledge. The triangle knowledge, you need to make some assumptions, though, right? Except for James and Kobe, who actually solved it by experimentation. Everybody good? Okay. So what I want for you guys to do now is I wanted to go on and do similar triangles, but we aren't going to have time because the bell is going to ring in 8 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to say your job today, tonight, is to study for your test and to come back tomorrow with 2 reasonable answers for X here. Everybody understand? Okay, all you got to do tonight is study and come up with 2 reasonable answers for X, and that's where we're stopping. Using anything you want. Figure out a way. Okay? Everybody good? Yeah. All right. If you have one of my yellow rulers and it was wrapped up for Christmas, please put it back in its wrapping and bring it to me. If you have one of my rulers that isn't the yellow plastic one, bring that up to me so I can put it in the jar here. Okay? Yes, if you need to pee, go pee. Do not stress about your test tomorrow. 1 sec, Anastasia, I just want to stop.